All right, that looks good. All right, so again, welcome to the PM User Group. And this is the makeup of our board. Here we have Jennifer Dijon as a sponsor, and then Brandy Meng as a support individual. And then everybody else is actually voting members on the board. And you'll see there's, I believe, 11. Okay. And who is the OPMA? And that is, we are state employees committed to the development of standards, practices, and shared knowledge of project management, program management, portfolio management, and business analysis. And here are different agencies that represent our board. We have Department of Corrections, DAS, Enterprise Information Services, DCBS, ODOT, DHS. And it's great that there's a variety of individuals that are on the board, so they bring perspectives from the different agencies, and we're not overloaded with just one agency representing OPMA. All right, at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Joe Donahue, who's also on the board, and he's going to speak toward the OPMA timeline and the scope of work. Joe?
Thanks, Doug. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I know with the advent of working from home, we often have technical issues, and certainly this week has been no exception to that. But as long as things hold up, we'll keep going. So the Oregon Project Management Advisory Board was originally stood up in 1998, and it was following a major IT project failure. I don't have to mention which agency that happened with, but ultimately no good deed left goes unturned. So as a result of identifying some of the issues relating to that failure, chiefly owing to a lack of standardized project management processes, DAS decided as part of the response to the legislature to establish the board, which would then oversee the development of training, standards, and practices for the state of Oregon. So at that time, the board, which was pulled together of representatives across multiple agencies and also included folks from the local PMI Willamette Valley chapter that had been established only the year prior, working in partnership together, a plan was established to create a training program which would then provide the right kinds of foundation and resources necessary to start seeing success in IT projects for Oregon state government. Now, over the course of time, between 1998 and about 2008, we had a primary service provider that was contracted in order to deliver those services. And then between 2008 and 2012, we looked at how those services were being delivered. Did that really fit well within our context of state government, both based on the PMI standards as well as how does that work out here in the reality of how projects are run for a government audience? And we solicited for a new vendor. So we actually started working with Willamette University at that point, and since 2013 have continued to run the program based on instruction and modules that they've worked with the board in putting together. The board also supports Willamette University instructors in cultivating the content of what goes into the training, because obviously PMI runs iterations of the PMBOK, and with each update, there's a need to refresh the content, make sure that we're well aligned with those standards of practice, and ensure that the folks who are working through the training program are well prepared, not just for how projects are run here in Oregon in the context of a government space, but also obviously in private industry as well. In 2020, the Oregon Project Management Associate Certificate was added to the list of project management classifications as far as a desirable aspect. It serves the purpose of saying that there is a good foundation in place for the person who is seeking that PM role, and actually substitutes for up to a year of experience for any one of those classifications. So for any of you who are interested in joining the stream of project management here in state government, that's a great place to get your feet wet, to understand what the central tenets are of project management, and also to be able to get an entire year worth of credit towards applying for those positions. Now, between 2020 and where we are today, we've established the statewide Business Analyst Networking Group. So that group has been up and running since about April of last year. We continue to hold forums that provide topics of interest to the BA community, but recognizing that there are a number of things like change management and stakeholder management and building out plans of practice that obviously are overlapping between the disciplines of project management and business analysis. We try to make those forums an open engagement that are welcoming to folks both who are practitioners of business analysis as well as those who may just want to have a little bit more understanding. Now, for where we are today and going forward, we're continuing to assess new partnerships and opportunities that will help us with continuously developing the standards for project management practices, training standards, and the expectations of the way that those things are delivered for Oregon government. We can probably jump to slide 6, Doug. So the scope of work. Many of you may be wondering, in fact, what are the things that the board is responsible for? So as I mentioned previously, it's really looking across the spectrum for all state agencies. What are going to be the standards, the disciplines, the systems of support, and even the training that are necessary in order to see project management develop within the context of state government in a way that delivers projects more successfully often. We can't guarantee success because there's always going to be factors that come into play and catch us by surprise. But as much as we're able to control and monitor and to deliver on the expectations of what each project is seeking to achieve, that's what we want to aim to support. So we look to do that through a number of key initiatives, including championing those standards for the state, working in partnership with DAS and Enterprise Information Services to enhance project management core competencies and the classification specifications that identify what things need to be understood and readily at the fingertips of people being hired to perform this work. But also the project management certification program itself. As I mentioned, we work with Willamette University and DAS CHRO to ensure that the content for those courses is kept live, refreshed, and up to speed with where industry is setting the marker. We also champion continuous learning and networking for both project managers as well as business analysts through our PMUGs. Here you are today, as well as our BANG forums. That's the Business Analyst Networking Group I mentioned. We also are partnering with local instances of professional organizations like the Willamette Valley chapter of the Project Management Institute. The purpose of this is to achieve two things. One is the types of events that are going to mutually benefit both audiences, and two, to make sure that we have a continuous tap on what's happening in the industry and how are those things being performed in a way that is synchronous with the expectations that we're establishing here for Oregon state government projects, but also with a recognition that because the standards continue to evolve over time, we want to make sure that we're communicating that in a way with our partners that makes sense. So I think that's what I have for these.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. All right, and now we're going to hand it over to Kim Howard. She's also on the board, and she's going to speak to the 2021 highlights that were accomplished.
Thanks, Doug. So I'm going to go very quickly through what we've accomplished in 2021 so that I can set the stage for the conversation that we'll have next. In the first quarter, we did some exciting things. We have got an agile community of practice established. We had some more OPMA certifications. We we brought on some new board members, which was very exciting for us. Within the PMUG space, we now have the forums on the DAS YouTube channel, which was a huge accomplishment for us. And you can go back and watch our previous PMUGs if you missed them. So in January, we brought you the M365. And in March, we brought you the PMBOK 7th edition changes. And then if you're also part of the Bang community, you also got business cases and development. Okay, Doug, next slide, please. All right, and then in the second quarter, we brought more OPMA certifications and another new board member, which was exciting. In May, we brought you, well, not brought you, but we worked on the PM Workforce Toolkit and the communication plan. So more to come on that, probably in 2022. And then in May, we brought you the Project Management and Security Forum. And then again, if you're part of Bang, you also got the BA certification and what to expect and making your case. In the third quarter, we had more certifications, and we now have business analyst classes offered. Another new board member for us, bringing us whole, Jennifer. And then part of PMUG, we brought you optimizing deliverable reviews and business relationship management. And then if you're part of Bang, you also got the relationship between the PM and the BA. Which leads us to the last quarter. We had the 2021 PMI Willamette Valley Conference. I think most of you were part of that. We have a new vice chair elected. And then right now, we're doing the Choose Your 2022 Path. And then if you're also part of Bang, you got Connecting Organizational Change Management to Project Activities, which was a very exciting forum. And I encourage all of you to go out and rewatch that if you didn't get to see it. Okay, all of that to set the stage for, in 2022, the board has currently on its work schedule, right, the 2022 PM conference. We're going to revise our website, and then we're putting together the PM mentoring tools. So more on that in 2022. As far as the PMUGs, we're putting together the forums, right? We're going to start that, and we want to put together a PMUG planning team. So if you're interested in being part of the planning team, we would love to hear from you. Reach out to us. Tell us you want to be a part of it. You do not have to be part of the board to be part of that planning team. And of course, we are always looking for presenters. If you have a topic that you feel like you're pretty confident in, we'd love to hear from you. In Bang, they're working on putting together the 2022 forums. They're going to continue the Bang newsletter. They're working on a state BA job classification. And they're working on a state BA mentoring community. Okay, that's already in development. So what we want to know from you, and go ahead and, yep, thanks, Doug. What training and support would you like us to provide in 2022? So I want you to type it in the chat, or you can take yourself off mute and raise your hand, however you want to do it. We would like to know what content you want us to bring to you in 2022. So think about all of the projects that you know that are upcoming. Think about all of your pain points. Think about, anything that is kind of a black box for you still that you'd love to learn more about, any challenges that you have. But we want to hear from you. We want you to set that content trajectory for 2022. Okay, we have lots of great ideas in the bag, but we want to know from you. Okay, do you need to learn more about Azure DevOps, for example? Do you want to learn more about organizational change management? Tell us what your needs are, your wants, your desires, and let us fulfill that for you. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Yes, Doug, thank you. Add your email address so we can contact you.
Yeah. So just so we don't have people speaking over each other, do go ahead, raise your hand if you have something to share or a suggestion or whatnot, and then we'll call on you. Or write it in the chat. That works as well.
Okay, we are looking for active participation. So feel free to raise your hand and let us know what you're looking for. Oh, got a planning team. Thank you, Alan. It's fantastic. Let's see, I see one hand up. Bob, come on, tell us what you're looking for.
The thing that I'm still working on is estimating methodologies. I'm taking a long course in January for about a week, I think it is. I took about a 6-week course like that from EDS years ago. I think that we could use some training and some insights as to estimating because of the challenges that we have in making these things work, particularly with these agile methodologies versus the waterfall. So my 2 cents worth.
Yes, thank you, Bob. I completely agree with that. I remember our conversation from a couple months ago. That is something that we could all get better at, I think, is planning and time estimating within our projects. What else? I've got a scoping and ensuring that you have enough info to scope appropriately. Identifying critical path and an iterative methodology. Ooh, good one, Jennifer. What else? Any other pain points? What about different agencies and groups that we could bring to you as far as how they operate and how to engage? Any particular agencies come to mind for that? Good one, April. Training leadership on PM terminology and skill set so resources can be set up to succeed. I like that. Hybrid, yes. Yes, I like that. Doug, I hope you're typing very quickly over there. Okay, well, while we're on this topic and what we can bring you in 22, I'd also like to hear from you. How many of you out there are either willing to be a mentor or wanting to find a mentor? So if you could type that in the chat, that would be great too. Oh, very good, Alan. Integration with other programs, projects, getting others involved who may provide fresh perspectives. Okay, good. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Amy. Excellent. Excellent. Yes, we'll take all these down and we'll see about connecting you outside of this forum. Yes, good. Let's get those senior PMs out there volunteering to be mentors. That'd be great. Excellent. So Doug or Joe, am I missing anything as far as what suggestions we want for 2022? Other than PMUG conferences, mentoring. Bob, you've got your hand raised again. Go for it.
Yeah, just another thing that's been a challenge for us over at the LFO is the management of a portfolio of projects versus a single project. It's one thing to have a PMO, it's one thing to have a portfolio of projects, but often projects are put together in a portfolio and they're not always tightly integrated, and they end up being managed and overseen as individual projects in lieu of a portfolio of integrated ones with integrated schedules. That's very challenging and difficult, but it's something that we struggle with in the LFO and trying to oversee, portfolios of both tightly coupled and loosely coupled projects. So I don't know if anyone else has had a problem with that, but we struggle with overseeing those, particularly when we only have 3 oversight analysts for 170 plus projects.
Yeah, no, I love it, Bob. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
It's great that we're getting input
Yes.
from everybody. The OPMAB board, we have our own working plan that we are using for projects and other activities and trainings that we do, but we really want input from the attendees and the community so that whatever we do bring or offer is the value that they need. It's meeting their needs. So we definitely need their input.
Yeah. So along the same topic, we work with the PMI Willamette Valley to bring you the conference every year. And one of those things that we do in preparation for that is figuring out the speakers and the topic. And we have a wider reach when it comes to that conference. So if you know of any speakers that you like, any topics that you like that you'd like to see in the PMI conference, we'd love to hear about that as well. Maybe we could reach out to that speaker and get them on board for 2022.
Right. And so we have a slide up now that has different links that are available for everybody to go to. And there is specifically a link for speaker form where individuals can fill out, hey, I'm a speaker, I want to talk on this topic. Here's some background information and my contact information. And then we'll gather that and we can look at that for future topics and speakers. We have the PMUG survey that is out there. There's links. And so this slide deck will be available afterwards. And when it gets sent out to the distribution list, you can click on the links and go to the survey or the speaker form. The YouTube channel's on there. We have LinkedIn and we have a website. So there's lots of ways to get connected.
And just so everybody knows, on the survey, it's not just signing up for your own interest to be a speaker. You can sign anyone up that you think would make a great speaker. So that's kind of a fun way to, I want to say, throw somebody under the bus, but volunteer somebody else to speak on the topic. Okay. Well, that's all I had, Doug.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. Really appreciate that. Again, just remember, please put in your email address in the chat so we do have a way to connect with you. Unfortunately, just your name is displayed. And with that, again, we have the links here, and there'll be several ways that you can get connected with us following this PMUG. Just like always, there'll be a video on YouTube for it, as well as the slide deck will be emailed out, and then a survey for follow-up of the PMUG here. And we've just, we look forward to 2022 and what's going to be offered and what's happening. And just want you to know that we appreciate your input and we appreciate your willingness to be supportive and attend and take part in hopefully everything that you gather and learn you can use in whatever capacity you're working in project management. And with that, I am done for the day. You get several minutes back for your time. So enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.